Good morning, everyone. I don't know what day it is. January 24th, I think, or maybe the 25th. January something. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and this is my weekly stamping live tutorial video thing that I'm doing every week right here in YouTube at 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Good morning, everyone. Those that are already joining in, come on in, give me a hello. Can someone let me know that my sound is working this week? For those that were here last week or maybe missed it, I had some technical difficulties. It was amazing. But I think I made sure I had sound on today. So come on in, grab a cup of coffee, a favorite drink. Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. I was like, please, Lord, not 2 weeks in a row. For those that, thank you very much. For those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Jamie. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator here in upstate New York. I just turned 8. Not literally in Stampin' Up years. I just had my 8th anniversary the other day. And so I've been doing this just a little bit, and I have the absolute immense pleasure and joy of sharing all things paper crafting with you. The idea behind this live is that, I hope to inspire you. I hope maybe even today you feel inspired to get out your crafting supplies, make a handmade card, not just make the handmade card, but mail said handmade card. I'm going to be using product that's in the mini catalog. If you have questions about the specific product, I'm more than welcome and here to help. Oh, thanks, Judy. I'm happy to be back. Let me drop my catch-all link before we get going here. So if you need to get a hold of me, if you would like to place an order, the starter kit offer right now, the link is up there. All the links to my social media accounts are there. JamieB.com. You do have to spell my name right. Thanks, Mom and Dad. JAIMIEB.com. That's my catch-all link. You can find everything you need over there. Okay, so this week I have been using the Sending Love bundle. Let me do a little switcheroo here. There we go. Okay, so the Sending Love bundle. I love this bundle, because it's different. Okay, I tend to go flowers, and I tend to go, I don't know, I tend to lean that way. And this is just different. Mailboxes are different. I love that we make handmade cards, and yet in the bundle are envelopes with handmade cards, and I just love the irony of it. And so I love this set so much. I love it because you can go Valentine's Day. There's still plenty of time to get an order in. And listen, if you mail a Valentine's Day card on February 28th, it's still okay. Nobody says that cards have to be mailed out before the holiday. We can always mail it out afterwards. It is a bundle, so it comes with a set of dies. Remember that the bundle has its own product number, which will save you the 10%. So be sure to check that out. I love the samples that Stampin' Up has in the catalog. By the way, page 11. Page 11. If you're looking for an extra one, you can go to the back. There it is there. And all the bundles are in the back of the catalog as well. And you're going to see a very familiar looking card to this one. That's on page 72. So let's look at my cards that I made this week. I said that last card was going to look familiar. So I love that they used the glorious gingham blueberry bushel. I love that blue. It's so vibrant. It's just like a true blue. So I made this card they did like flowers in their envelope. I wanted hearts coming out of mine, but I didn't want it like too lovey-dovey. I didn't want red hearts, so I went with gold and tied in. Listen, look at this. Ready? It's a functional flag. I think that's way too fun. I used a brad. When you cut this out, when you cut the mailbox out, it cuts a little hole in the mailbox, so you can actually push the brad right through it and make it a functional flag, which is just, I'm sorry, way too cute. So that was yesterday's card. This is today's. We're going to make it. Tomorrow I did go Valentine's, of course, or you could just do anniversary or just lovey-dovey or whatever. It doesn't have to be a Valentine's Day card per se, but it is red, pink, and white. And I love how I just put the little birdie like carrying the envelope. I thought that was really cute. And then Friday, I'm like, okay, we have these great mailboxes, but there's also just really great dies in the set by themselves. So I went this route, which is just, I don't know, different. I took my color inspiration right from the paper, which is the Lift Me. No, it's paper in the mini catalog. It's really fun. This pattern is my favorite. Made a couple of different envelopes, and then I made a card like to literally fit in the envelope. And that sentiment comes from the building stamp set. I needed a little hello, not too big, not too chunky, and it fits like perfectly. Thank you. You like that, Terry? Isn't he so cute carrying the envelope away? Like, so cute. So those are the 4 cards I made this week. And honestly, there's so much more you can do. And I could have just kept going and going and going. You can just like the sky's the limit. I used a big envelope to go in the mailbox. You could also put like a bunch of these smaller ones in. So between the stamped images and the die cut images, honestly, like the sky's the limit. Oh, Judy, that's amazing. I love it. Judy says, I don't have this bundle, but I'm using older Valentine supplies to make cards to donate to women and children's centers. That's awesome. That's what it's about, right? I mean, it's a fun hobby and it gives us something to do and lets us get crafty and creative. But at the end of the day, for me at least, it's all about like putting a smile on someone's face, encouraging them, letting them know that I'm thinking of them. To me, that's what's important. The rest, the creativity and the crafting and the supplies, that's just the icing on the cake, right? Okie dokie. So here we go. We're going to make a collage card, which I have to say is not necessarily my forte. I am going to show you how to make a card that isn't my forte because honestly, I think as creative people, it's important that we always push the limit, stretch ourselves creatively, try new things, don't box ourselves into this. I don't, right? It may not be your natural bend or what you naturally gravitate to, but we can always grow and learn and evolve and all those amazing words. So we're going to do some watercoloring and just kind of throw a whole bunch of really fun things on here. I might switch up a thing or two. So, yeah, and actually one might be right away. So I'm starting with a piece of our thick basic white. This is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. And this is what I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I should, and I went back and forth on this when I made my original, if I should emboss this white background. What do you think? Because I was thinking, I wasn't sure, if it was like too much, right? Because we have the collage and there's a lot of different components going on. We have the envelopes and the designer paper and the stamped hearts and all these things. But then I thought maybe like a fun embossed background would be really fun. So there's the stripes and splatters, but there's also the geometric patterns one, which is kind of fun. But I was kind of leaning towards this one here, the stripes and splatters. Oh, thanks, Joe. I appreciate the love. I feel the love. Yes, if you watch or maybe you're catching the replay, don't forget to hit subscribe because that will give you a notification when I go live or when I post a video. I'm like, what is that word? Post the video. So I think we're going to try it and then we'll compare and contrast and you can tell me which one you like. So this is the, what did I call it? The stripes and splatters. It's 2. And if you have the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, this size would fit. But we can also make it work for a full card front. And I'm going to show you how. So this is, my cats are fighting upstairs. This is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And you're going to see that the embossing folder doesn't fit, right? It's too, you just use the splatters. Great minds think alike. So to make it work, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run it through our machine twice. And the first time we're going to run it through like 3/4 of the way. Now you do have a line at the top, so that helps kind of make sure you're straight-ish. And we're going to run it through about 3/4 of the way. I'm going to do it off camera because honestly, moving my machine is quite the ordeal. So give me a second. I'm going to do this off camera here. Okay, so we have 3/4 of it done. Actually, actually, I probably could have gone a little bit more. Oh, no, it's still a tiny hairline shine. Then what we're going to do is put it back through our embossing folder, but catching the last little bit that didn't get embossed. Now I want to make sure, did I flip over my paper? I think I did. I think I flipped it, right? Did I flip it? Yes, I did. So I'm going to line it up at the top again. And then I'm going to line up the edge of where I left off. And then, is that too wide? That's the problem, is you can't do it too far off because this still has to be able to fit through your, yeah, it's that one is very forgiving. Yep, mine fits. We're good. Hopefully I did this right, or we're doing it. Okay, phew. So, as Judy said, there will be a seam, but honest to goodness, it is so just blended in with the texture of the paper. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. Is everything too bright? I'm always afraid I'm too dark, or is my computer light bright? Oh, wow. So that seam is barely noticeable. And honestly, there's going to be enough going on our paper that no one's going to even notice it, even if they could. It's very blended in. So it's a great way to take your smaller embossing folders and still use them on a larger area. I'm using liquid glue because there's so much texture in this paper. I want it to really not budge. Okay, so okay. So next we're going to take a 3/4 by 5.5 piece of Tahitian tide. So this is 3¼ by 5.5. And this is going to just run. It's a little extra detail because all these components were kind of on the thinner, smaller side. I just wanted to fill the space a little bit. So I brought in a piece of Tahitian tide. If you didn't know this, all of our color families come in packs of designer paper. And this is great. I use these a lot because sometimes I'm like, for example, I want a piece of Tahitian tide, but we don't have any designer paper that currently has Tahitian tide. So it's a great way to get a pattern of all the colors without having to rely on other designer paper, if that makes sense. Okay. I think I like the texture. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep going and then we'll decide. I don't know. That's kind of the nice thing about doing these lives is you can try new things and you're like, ooh, that worked, or ooh, that really didn't work. Okie dokie. So we're going to take the flip side of that Tahitian tide. So we just cut that, right? The opposite side is hearts. And we're going to be using the perennial postage dies to cut out just a little piece. This one here is like the 2¼ by 3, a little shy of that postage die. This works great because we are making envelopes and mailboxes. And so it's very fitting to use the perennial postage. Woo! Say that 10 times fast. The perennial postage dies. It's very complimentary. Kind of goes with the same theme. Come back. There we go. And there's all sorts of sizes and whatnot. So I would normally use seal, rolling adhesive, but because that's going on so much texture, let me use liquid glue. And we're going to pop that at an angle, like so. Okay, now let's do the fun watercoloring. I would normally, if I wasn't doing a live, use my new glass mat. Let me show you that. I have it here. Ooh, my new glass mat. But as you can see, it gets glares like off my big lights, and so I'm not going to use them. But I wanted to definitely talk about it because the glass mat is so ideal when watercoloring, because it's a glass mat, so you're not, going through grid paper and worrying about it soaking and making a mess. The glass mat, you can get it wet, you can put the ink right on the glass mat, and then you just wipe it with the cleaning cloth that comes with it right now. Okay, so it comes with the cleaning cloth. You can make a big mess, and when you're all done, you just wipe it up, and it's so much easier, so much more functional, more practical when you're watercoloring. So right now, the only way to get the glass mat is in the starter kit. And it's something I would highly recommend you considering. And it would be what I would be using right now if it wasn't for the fact that it just reflected my big lights, and I need my big lights, so I can't forego them. So that's that. But definitely something, the glass mat is so practical. There's so many just things you can use it for. It's a great tool. I would highly recommend it for watercoloring. Okay, we're going to watercolor. So I get this question all the time. What's the difference between our two black inks, and what do I use for what and when and how? Very valid question. Memento Black, you can see mine is so well loved, it's quite gross, is a water-based black. StazOn is an alcohol-based black. And rule of thumb, when you are picking a black, or you're going to use blends and you don't know what to do, you're going to go opposite mediums. Okay, so if I'm using a water-based black ink, I'm going to color with alcohol-based markers, our Stampin' blends. And when I'm using StazOn alcohol markers, I'm going to use water, like watercoloring, and you can use our water painters for that. So rule of thumb is you go opposite. You wouldn't want to use Memento, which is water-based, with watercoloring. That ink is just going to smear all over the place because it's going to pick up the water and it's going to run. And likewise, you wouldn't want to use alcohol black ink with alcohol markers. That doesn't gel. You got to go opposite. So water-based ink for alcohol-based markers, alcohol-based ink for watercoloring. Okay, so rule of thumb, you just go opposite. We are going to be watercoloring, so I'm going to use our StazOn black. And we have our water painters. They do come in a set of 3. One is like a really fun wide brush that you could do like big strokes and like do a background, really fun and cool. And then the other 2 are, one's more of like a ballpoint fine tip. You can't see that. Hold on. One's like a ballpoint, very fine tip. And then the other one, which I'm going to be using today, is a bit more of like a brush. It's a thicker, wider brush. You can cover more area, and it's just my go-to. This one is my go-to when I watercolor, which is far and few between. But I was inspired. I was like, I don't know, I feel like watercoloring this week, and I'm glad I did. It was really fun. So you don't want to use our regular white. It is going to completely shred and dissolve. I'm using our, what is it? Our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. That's what you're going to want to use, watercolor paper. Do not watercolor on a regular paper. It will just completely fall apart. So I'm going to stamp. It does come with a little protector. I forgot about that. So set that aside. And I'm going to ink up the mailbox and stamp fairly quickly. And there's an odor to it, so you'll smell it. Like, what's that smell? There's definitely an odor to it. There we go. Now, we do have a StazOn cleaner. I do not have it. So the StazOn will naturally stain your stamps. It doesn't hurt them at all. It really honestly doesn't. I just wiped that a little bit like on my grid paper. Don't do that on your glass mat. On your grid paper to get some of it off, but you can still see there's a little black staining. It does not harm your stamp in the least bit, so don't worry about that. If you have the StazOn cleaner, go ahead and use it. They do recommend not to use it with a photopolymer. So that was our red rubber cling, so you could use the StazOn cleaner, but don't use it with your photopolymer. Okay, I have just a little bit of water. There is a mechanism here where you unscrew it, you fill it with water, and then you push, and the water goes down to the brush. It doesn't work very well. It's like trying to think of politically correct way of saying it really doesn't work. It's not functional. So you're going to want to have like water handy. And then I also have some paper towels wet or handy just because. It's always good to have those. And then the colors I'm going to be using, there's two ways that you can go about grabbing the color. Okay. First is to take a block with your refills. Okay. And this is Melon Mambo. And you can just do like, honest to goodness, it's going to go so far. Do not squeeze more than like, that's smaller than a pea size. And then I'd like to put, you can't see it, I'm doing it off camera, but I'd like to put the color behind the block so I know what color it is. Because believe it or not, when it's a refill, it looks like black. It's hard to tell what color it is. So I like to put the refill right behind the block. And then I have some gray granite. I'm going to do the same thing. Just a dab will do ya. And then I'm going to put the refill behind it so I know what color it is. So that's one way that you can grab color. Okay. The other thing you can do is, if you have your glass mat, you can take your ink pad and literally just wipe it across your glass mat, and the color will be on your glass mat and you can pick it up from there. That's what I would normally do if I was using the glass mat. Now, the other thing you can do, and this is what I'm going to do because I don't have refill colors for Tahitian Tide or Lemon Lime Twist. I thought I did, but I went to find them and I didn't. Is you can actually just put a block right into your ink pad and get color on that block, and you can pick it up that way. So that's what I'm going to do for Tahitian Tide, and I don't need that much for Lemon Lime Twist, so I'm just going to grab my itty bitty block. And when you're done, you just wipe them clean. Like, you're not harming the block at all, just so you know. Okay, here we go. Now, I don't normally watercolor, but we can do this. So if you are looking more for like a watercolor wash, you're going to want to like immerse your image in water and then go from there. That's not what I want to do. I'm not looking for like a background. I'm looking to actually color an image. So now here's the thing. I'm no expert. There are some people out there that can watercolor really, really well. And I would suggest if you're looking for a more precise way of watercoloring, to check them out. I just kind of fiddle and make it work. But I'm going to grab some water, not too much, because again, I don't want it oozing out. And then I'm going to kind of pull out some gray granite and go to town. Now the look I'm kind of going for, it's intentional. It's kind of a messy coloring, honestly, because I'm not a professional watercolorer. I'm going for more of a rustic watercolor, and you can keep going until your brush runs a little on the dry side, which mine is. So you're going to pick up a little bit more water, grab more color. You can see I'm barely pulling color out of that. If you wanted a more intense color, you would just pick up more. But honest to goodness, I'm not looking for that. I just want a hint of the gray granite. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're watercoloring, the underlying color in the color, does that make sense? The underlying color in the colors will be pulled out. So I found, like, for example, Pool Party, watercolor is a little bit different than the actual color of Pool Party. So now I'm going to come back in. I just grabbed a little bit more of that color. Now that I have it covered, I can add a little bit of shadowing. Yeah, so I don't know, for example, Pool Party, I used once and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of green coming through. And that's just because that's like the underlying tone in Pool Party. So keep in mind. Okay, we're good. I want that to blend a bit more, but I kind of like the brush strokes. I like, you're terrible watercoloring. You know, it's fake it till you make it. I really don't know what I'm doing, but that'll work. Okay. I actually like, so I'm calling it again rustic, right? I like that You can kind of see a little bit of the brush marks there. It's not completely blended. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to set that aside before I accidentally grab color. What did I do next? I'm like, where's my card? Okay, so I did the mailbox Tahitian Tide. We're going to do the same thing. A little bit of water, but not too much. I don't want it oozing. And you're going to let that just cover. I need more ink. And a bit more water. So I guess first I'm just making sure I get the full area covered, and then I'll come back and add a little bit more shadowing and low lights. Low lights? Is that what I want to say? Okay, so like it's all covered, and then I'm going to pick up more color and then just make some areas a little bit darker. Obviously, the inside of the mailbox would be darker, I think. I don't know. There's no right or wrong way. It's art. I had a couple people reach out when I was talking on Instagram the other day. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't know what I'm talking about. But I was like, should a sky be blue or should a sky be yellow? And so many people are like, are you nuts? The sky is blue. And I was like, I know, but like sun rays would make it yellow. And I had a couple people reach out and they're like, girl, if you want a yellow sky, you go ahead and do it. It's art. So same thing. There's really no wrong or right way to do it. Just whatever your heart says to do is what you should do. Okay. That's the mailbox. Done. Now we'll do the little flag. So one of the things I wanted to do, oops, sorry, did I hit the camera? Is bring in really fun colors. I didn't want to make this too serious. And so I went bright. Tahitian Tide is a very vibrant, bright blue. And then, well, the gray granite isn't bright. And then I'm using just a hint of lemon lime twist. Okay. That's a lot darker. I went a lot heavier than in my sample. I think they say like you can actually like, yeah, you can dab some color off. Perfect. That looks better. And then last but not least, oh, don't fall over. There's just a little bit of grass on the bottom. And you'll barely see it, honest to goodness. But I didn't want to not color it. So this is lemon lime twist. And there's not much to it. You will see some of the colors do bleed a little bit because you are working with water. If you don't want them to bleed, you just need to make sure that the other areas are dry first. Because if two areas are wet, they're going to bleed into each other. So if you don't want them to bleed, you need to make sure that they are dry. Okay, and ta-da! Like, just a fun, I think it's so fun. Fun mailbox. Now, normally, I can fan myself. Normally, I would just put my heat tool on just a little bit to dry it, but I don't think it's too dry and we can make this work. But that's normally what I would do. While we are setting up to die cut, I am going to cut a couple of envelopes from Melon Mambo. One envelope, two envelopes. And then what I was going to do also, switch up, and I don't know what color to use, but I was going to, instead of stamping hearts, because now I have a textured background, I was going to die cut some hearts. So, right? One? Yes. Okay. So we need to cut out the hearts. We need to cut out the envelopes. And we need to cut out the mailbox. Just thanks, Cynthia. Oh, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Amy. You know what? Sometimes you just can't. Oh, I'm like, it's dry enough. My green just smeared all over the place. It's dry enough. Sometimes you just need to try new things, right? I find what like my coloring of choice is Stampin' Blends any day of the week. I feel they're very like user friendly, easy. You can't do it wrong. I'm just gonna turn this down. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try other things. And so, am I the world's best watercolorer? No, but I have fun doing it. And I had fun using those colors. I love those bright colors together. Okay, I'm going to cut them out. Whew, I was nervous. My mailbox shifted and I was going to have to redo it all over again, but we're good. So there's our mailbox. And one envelope, the envelope did shift a little bit, but I think we're good. A couple of hearts, and then I'm going to cut the other envelope and more hearts. Thanks, Kim. I'm so glad you like it. It's fun. It's just fun and different, you know? Whoops. Okay. Now, yeah, we can do this. I'm like looking at what we should do next. If I was my card, where would I be? I would be right here. Okay, so this is going to go kind of in the center, and then everything's going to build around it. So let's get this guy in dimensionals. And I should have gotten a new one, but we'll finish this guy off first. Don't waste your dimensionals. These doodads around the back and edge work just as fine as any. I'll put another one there. I kind of want to put one right there. Oh, look, a little guy. Perfect. So peel them off. Okay, kind of front and center. Standing upright. There is a die that cuts grass. And I considered putting a little bit on the bottom. He's super cute. I used him on yesterday's card. So if you want to add a little bit of grass, you could do that. And then we're going to put some envelopes down. I'm going to use liquid glue just because I feel like it. And it's here. So we're going to have one kind of going that way. Make sure they're upright and not accidentally upside down. That would be bad. Okay. Oh, I should probably use my inverted tweezers for these doodads because they're quite small. Come on. Stampin' Up does sell a pair of inverted tweezers. I'm not going to lie. These from Cricut are my favorite, and I get asked about them a lot. So I'm just going to answer it now. Where are my inverted tweezers from? They are Cricut. They're my favorite. They have a really nice point to them. Like it's a really super fine tip point, and I really like that because it's just easier. Come on, don't be silly. It's just easier. I really have no idea how many of these to put. Should we put more? Let's put 5. You know, you're supposed to do everything in odd numbers. So I have 3. Can't do 4. We'll go with 5. And they are varying sizes. Maybe I'll overlap them a little bit. I don't know if I like that. Do as I don't do. Maybe don't overlap. I don't love that. I'll do another one. No, I like it over here better, but I'm going to have it going the other way. That's bothering me. I got to move that. I don't like it layered. And now it doesn't. Oh, okay, it's got to stay layered. What happens when you start messing with it? Okay, we're going to do the sentiment. Did I take out white for the sentiment? Or I guess we're going to use this. I originally was going to use the smaller of the sentiments, but it was just too small. And actually, I had watercolored the little hearts on it. It was really cute, but it just felt like it was lost on the paper. So I went with the other one, which is the I Miss You. And we're going to stamp that in Melon Mambo. Like so. And then I'm going to use the 1 3/4 circle punch to cut it out. It's a little wide. Probably 1.5 would have done, but we don't have 1.5, so we're gonna go 1 3/4. Does leave a little bit of space around the edge, but I kind of like the space, honestly. And then, don't leave, I need that. We're going to stamp the little, I don't know what that's called, a postage swirl, like a Nike swish, but a postage swirl. I don't know what this is called. Oh my goodness, my cat is upstairs meowing his little brains out. My cat is very silly. He likes to hunt. We have 3 cats, but one of them is kind of mine. And he likes to hunt, but he'll hunt like Nerf gun bullets, like the ones that my son has in his Nerf guns. Or if I leave my dryer ball around, he will hunt that and then meow and meow and meow and meow and meow and meow until someone acknowledges that he did a good job hunting and congratulate him. And then he'll stop meowing. So he found something upstairs that he is, sometimes socks. He'll find a sock and like bring it to us and meow and meow and meow. And he literally won't stop meowing until we say, Luke, good job. You're amazing. So brave. And then he stops. A postage swirl, right? A Nike swish or a postage swirl. I mean, it makes sense to me. Okay. I'm just going to adhere my sentiment over my postage swish. Kind of lopsided, because I think that's how they are, right? Like a postage is always like the tail hangs out wide, longer. I don't know. These are things I tell myself and I believe to be true, but I really have no idea if I'm just completely making it up. Okay. We're going to adhere that over here. Looks like I can put dimensionals pretty much all around the circle and not mess with the mailbox. So I guess when you're doing a collage, you just keep layering stuff on. And I'm sure at some point it becomes too much and you should stop. But I just kept going. I was like, ooh, let's add this. And ooh, this is kind of fun. We'll add that. Okay. And then last but not least, we have the 2022-2024. Can you believe these colors are retiring soon? Pearls, I think they're called. Yep, in color pearls. So there's Tahitian Tide is there. I did take my take your pick tool out. We're going to grab just a couple. And I was going to say throw. A cancellation stamp. Brenda, you're so smart. That sounds like a much better term than a postage swirl. A cancellation stamp. That makes so much more sense. Thank you. That's funny. Listen, I like to make up my own words. Let's see here. There's a lot going on over here, so I kind of want to balance it. Maybe I'll put it there. I like to make up my own words, and they're usually very silly because I don't know what I'm saying half the time. No, down there. Okay, done. Done. Okay, so it's a very simple card. Like it's a very simple card. It's taking the different stamped and die cut images, working them together. That's why I love a bundle. That's why I love a collection, because in that bundle, both the stamped images and the die cut images, they're going to work together. They're a beautiful complement to one another. And so you can throw them gently, creatively place them on a handmade card, and it all works together. There's a lot going on, and yet it somehow all works together. So I would encourage you this week to try something outside of your comfort zone. For me, it was watercoloring. For me, it was making a collage card, both of which I don't do a whole lot. And so, it's always good to try something new, push ourselves, and just have fun. The important thing is that we are having fun along the way. So Jo says she likes the embossing. Where's my original? You'll have to let me know in the comments if you like the embossed one or if you like the plainer one. I don't know. I think I like the plainer one, but then again, that's me, and I always love less is more. But I love the texture that it adds. It's a really fun duo of embossing folders. Okay, so let me do a little switcheroo here. So whether you are, going really fun watercoloring, or maybe you're making a Valentine's card, or maybe you're just using the dies to make envelopes and just having a lot of fun with it. And I love this one where you could actually make a functional um, mailbox with an envelope inside of it, like kind of 3D. So cool, right? So, Sending Love bundle, it's a good one. It's just fun and different. You can find it on page 11 of the mini catalog. You like the well, I'm glad I went embossed then. You guys like that one. There you go. I'm glad we tried that. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, Jamie B is my catch-all link. If you are interested in getting the glass mat, you have until the end of February. It is amazing. If you are watercoloring, it's a must-have in my book. So let me know if you have any questions, if I can help in any way. And that wraps up today, guys. I hope to see you back next week. Same time, same place for another live card. Have a great week, and I'll catch you then. Bye-bye, everyone.